Hey, everybody, welcome to the Culturalist podcast, Conversations with Pam Ross. I am Pam Ross, and we are in for a treat today. I just had the most amazing conversation with Beverly Moore. Now, Beverly Moore is the owner of Be More Consulting. She's a media person. She helps individuals, corporations, not for profits, churches develop their message and deliver your message. So we talked about everything. We're friends, so we talked about the wedding and all the changes and all of that going on in my life, what's happening in her life, and about social marketing, and particularly about how social marketing has really been leveraged in this political season here in the United States. I hope you enjoy this beautiful conversation with the brilliant Beverly Moore. This is the Culturalist Podcast. Hi, I'm Pam Ross, the Culturalist. I love good conversations with interesting people. In this podcast, we use the art of conversation to explore what's happening in culture. Thanks for joining us. Beverly Moore!
Hello, hello.
How are you doing?
I am doing well. It's so great to see you. First
Oh
of
my
all, the
God.
incomparable Dr. Pam Ross.
My God, thank you so much. It is a blessing to see you too. My dog is barking. Now, you know what's so hilarious? This dog is so quiet generally, unless there's a motorcycle outside. He's usually
Yeah.
really super quiet. The other time he's not quiet is when I'm recording a podcast. So he knows.
He wants his voice wants to be heard.
He's like, I got something to say, and I
Yes.
want the world to hear me. I got
And
something
I
to
am
say.
in this conversation.
Yes, he thinks he's got some things to say. But anyway, that's Ben. Benny is his name. He is a sausage dog.
A sausage dog.
He
Too
is.
cute.
And people tell me that Dachshunds are very stubborn. Everything I've read, Dachshunds are very stubborn. And then he's also mixed with a mini pin, and mini pinchers are very territorial.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Got a
And
nice
then
combination.
then I read that Dachshunds are bred to be fearless. Like he'll just like, if I ever encounter danger, then he will die before I will. Like he is gonna just run towards the danger. He's like,
I love it. He is the personification, dogification
yes,
of the Napoleon complex.
he is. He is. He is like, who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? And my friend Linda, right? Linda, Prophet Linda, Counselor Linda. Linda says the reason why, so I've only had him for a year because he's my daughter's dog. I'm just keeping him for a year. She's like, the reason why you've had Benny this year is so that you can see how to be fearless in the face of Goliath, no matter how big a
I
problem
love it.
is.
I love it. It makes sense to me.
Yeah. I said, whatever it takes, Lord. So one good thing is I'm walking 40 minutes every single day. I'm supposed to do 3 times a week. I'm walking every single day
Right.
because of this little guy. But yeah, this is my life now. And I'm so happy to have you back on this podcast. You know, your episode, the last time you were on, was the #1 episode of the year.
Oh wow. I am so honored. That I'm so honored.
Of the year.
Anytime.
I told our
am so
producer,
honored.
we have to have Beverly back because so much has changed and evolved when it comes to digital marketing
Oh my goodness.
and
It's net
social
breaking.
marketing.
It's
Yeah,
net breaking.
I'm just, I'm trying to keep up. I have a brilliant team. I'm going to insist that they listen. I'm sure they listen to the podcast, but I'm insist that they listen to this one. But I have a brilliant team that I've been neglecting my team lately because we did Get Ready to Fly, the live Pam Ross experience.
I
It was
saw it on social.
oh my
Amazing.
God. It was amazing. It was
I can only imagine.
they are so brilliant. You know how someone is brilliant, but then when you give them the room to be brilliant and they shine so bright. They were fantastic. And
Here's
I'm
what that
so proud
speaks
of
to.
them.
It speaks to great leadership being able to pull on strengths and tap into that.
Yeah, thank you.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah,
When you
thank
are
you.
able to first of all assemble a team
Yeah.
play to their strengths, and then release them
Yes.
to do so, it shows a mark of great leadership.
Thank you so much. I tell you what, I was so amazed. And we worked so hard. They worked hard. I flew them in. We did it right here in the Chicagoland area. And I mean, the leaders that showed up, it was pricey. They convinced me to make it pricey because I was very afraid of the price. But to have senior leaders, CEOs show up, I think it kind of attracted them to that small group environment
Yes.
so that they could be honest and transparent and they could interact with each other, you know? And I believe many of them left with a game plan on how to prepare themselves for what's next for them. So since then, I've just kind of been giving them a little bit of a break because I am wedding planning and I am stressed.
Woohoo! Yes, 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 yes. I just want to know one
Yes,
question
yes.
because your name just sings. Dr. Pam Ross.
I
Like,
know.
what is going Are you changing your name, hyphenating
Tell
your
you.
name? What are
Let
you
me tell
doing?
you, I have the most wonderful sweetheart. Seriously, I could cry when I think about this is the best man I know. This is the best man I know.
Excellent.
And he is such an honorable man. And his last name is Ehrman, EHR, right?
Mm.
And so he and that name literally means honorable man.
Oh, no one can orchestrate that but God.
Nobody could do
I
that but
mean,
God, right?
really, nobody
Nobody could
could
do
do
that but
that but
God. So when I
God.
told him, I said, "You're so honorable." He said, "Oh, well, that's what my name means." So I wasn't gonna say a word about changing my name because my name is my brand. My brand is my name.
Right.
And he did ask me. This is a whole situation. He said, and he asked me kind of, you know how people can kind of lower their chin and raise their eyes, you know, that kind of look like,
Yeah.
and he's a tall guy, he's 6'2". So he had to really kind of contort to say, have you thought about if you're going to take my name? Now,
Ooh.
change your name is one question. Take my
Take
name
your
is the
name.
whole,
Yes. Yep. Yep.
sir, you didn't have to ask me like that, tugging on my
Yes.
little heartstrings.
Yes.
And
Are you gonna take on my honor?
are you? I know, I know. And so I asked him, does he have a preference? Of course he does. He's a little bit old fashioned. He would like for us to both have the same last name. And I said, I will, because everything I have, everything I own, and is Pam Ross. And so I think, do not hold me to this, internet people, podcast listener people. I think what I've settled on, and I have several days, I have a long time to decide. I have as long as I need to decide, but I think what I've settled on is to simply add his name.
Okay.
So I will be Pam Ross Ehrman.
That could work.
I
That could
think
work.
it could work. What do you
I
think?
think
You're
it
the
could work.
marketing lady, but everything that my work will still be Pam Ross.
Yes.
I think it would, I think anything really, I think people can get used to anything.
Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? We out here adding words every day and people are hijacking words.
Demure.
And I do want to ask you about hijacking words and I wish I could get this back. But and so I think that if I became Pam Ross Ehrman, it just depends on if you're going to pronounce it with a German accent or not. Um, if I'm going to be Pam Ross Ehrman or if I'm going to be Pam Ross. It just really, I don't know. But I think that that is our compromise. And I don't even think it's a compromise. That is our consensus. We've both said that we would both be happy with that. So
I think you know what? I think it works.
you think it
It works.
works?
It works. It works.
And you would be honest with me. You think it does work?
I think it does work.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think of
And all
other.
my like how I tag my t-shirts, all of that,
Yes.
it's still my logo is Pam.
Hmm.
And the A is a conversation bubble. And the person who designed that, shout out to Diana Dumas in San Bernardino, California. She designed this probably in like 2015. And you know what she said to me? I believe you're going to be married one day. I believe you're going to marry again. This is what she said. I believe you're going to marry again. And so this is why I designed your logo to just be your first name.
That's a futurist.
I said, yep, yes, that is a futurist. And we laughed when I saw her last was in June. And I said, there's a very good chance I will be engaged by the end of this month. And she's like, I knew it. I knew it. She's saying, I knew it. I knew it. Yeah. So
I
I'm
love the
excited.
foresight.
Yes. Isn't it beautiful to even think about how I think most of the people listening to this, many of them are corporate people, ministry people, but most of us are the social media that we handle is for ourselves. And so even not locking yourself in to this is who I am, this is who I'll always be, you know,
Yes.
has to do thinking along the lines of this is who I aspire to be, or this is what I believe God is going to do with me next. So yeah, I
Yeah.
thought she had tremendous foresight, and she had more faith than I did, but she had
And you need that. You need people that can see what you can't see.
yes, absolutely. To be
Yeah.
able to kind of look at if I'm designing something for Pam Ross, even though her name is pretty much one name. There's a lot of people that just call me Pam Ross. Like
Right.
that's my one name, Pam Ross. And we do
Yep.
it with
Yep.
bumps. Even when I sign my name, sometimes I don't even do the space. It's just Pam Ross. So for her to consider that and say, let's not design it like this because in the future, this is where we're going. So kudos to her. Shout out to
Yes.
her. But yeah,
Shout out.
I'm excited about being a wife. Not I won't say I'm not excited about being a bride. It's going to be a beautiful day. It's going to be a lovely day. The challenge has been just putting all the details to bed. Just when you think you have all the details put to bed, then there's something, you know?
Yep.
And so yeah, so then there's something. But yeah, I when I texted you earlier and I was like, I'm ready to
Well, as long as you're not a bridezilla, which I can't even imagine you being a bridezilla.
I'm really not. I am like, let's just have a nice brunch and then let's just get married at the brunch. Like
Hmm.
that's what we were gonna do. And originally it was elopement. I wanted to just elope and then you have a witness, I have a witness, let's elope. But I don't think my children would have been happy about that. And no,
And a
my
whole
children,
bunch of other people too.
I know. So then we really did pray and ask the Lord. I felt like the Lord said, do this for me. And he felt like the Lord said to him, he knows it won't be easy for Pam to have to plan and host a wedding in the midst of all this, um but he said, I'm not making you all do it, but I'm asking you to do it as a testimony.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're doing it as a testimony. And if you're on my mailing list, big shameless plug, if you're on my mailing list, that should be an acronym, BSP. That's what we're going to call it. Yeah.
People are
Drop a,
making up acronyms
okay.
and words every day, so why
Yeah,
not?
let's call it a BSP. Big shameless plug. If you're on my mailing list, you'll get a link to join us via Zoom. And we're just hosting a Zoom party. And PJ's nephew is hosting a Zoom party. And folks are just gonna like log in, say where you're from, and then you can watch the ceremony. And then we'll probably pop over to the Zoom party and say hi to everyone. And that's gonna be that.
I love it. What a beautiful way to invite your audience into your
Yeah.
big moment in
Thank
such
you.
an intimate way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You say, yeah, just log in. We'll say hi, and you can watch us exchange our vows. Get your tissue, get your piece of cake, and hopefully you'll be praying for us as we step into really the most serious relationship, earthly relationship you can have, the most
Absolutely.
intimate, transparent, you know? And so it's a big deal. We are not entering into this lightly. It seems fast to a lot of people, but we do a lot of things on the low. We don't do everything on social media.
Absolutely. And you know what? When you become to a certain point, not just in chronological age, but in spiritual maturity, and you
Yes,
have your ear to the Lord, it really don't take, I don't think it takes long to figure that out. I
ma'am.
really don't.
It doesn't. It doesn't. And then I think I told you how this is one of the reasons why I said yes. One of the many reasons is because we started getting close very quickly. And I said to the Lord, "Whoo, this is moving fast." And the Lord said, "You asked for this." And I'm thinking, what? Because I ain't asked you for none of this. Yeah. You know what I asked for? I asked for 7 figures. I asked for
He
that's what
do
I
that
asked
fast.
for. I do that quickly. How about we do that fast, right?
Right.
So,
Like we get to tell God what to do, right?
okay, like we know better.
Right.
And so when he said, "You asked for this," I immediately knew 2 years ago in August, I wrote in a journal, my spiritual father and my heavenly father have really pressed me, just be open because I feel like God wants to do something. And so I said to the Lord, just writing, not really praying, just writing, "Lord, okay, I will be open." And I said, "But please do not send any more of your fearful, indecisive sons."
I love it. I
No
love
shade
it.
on anyone I have dated before, and you know who you are, but y'all know you were scared.
You are. You missed
Love
it.
you, still love you, but you were scared, man. And so I said, "Please do."
You missed your blessing, but it wasn't for you.
It wasn't for you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I said, and I would have been scared too, right? I said,
Yeah.
so I said, "Please do not send any more of your fearful, indecisive sons. I need to know his intention in 90 days. I need a ring in 6 months. I need to be married in a year."
Oh my
I
God.
wrote that 2 years ago and forgot
Wow.
and forgot. And
But he didn't.
so,
God did not.
yeah, God was like, "Here you go." So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I was like, oh. So, even though we've known each other for over 10 years, we spent a day together in January, and God was really pressing on PJ's heart about, what do you really want? And so it was 90 days later that he expressed his desire. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, decisive.
I love it.
And so, yeah, so the Lord's like, "It's been 90 days since you spent a day together." And I was like, "Oh, that means in 6 months. Oh, let's see." And then sure enough, he said, "God has told me to have some things together when I come for your birthday." And that's how I knew. I'm like, oh, he's hearing God about me. God is giving him the cheat code. I don't know if that's fair. You don't need game. You need a prayer life.
That's it. That is it.
You don't need no
Exclamation
rap. You need a
point.
revelation, man. That's
Yeah.
how you get the girl.
Seriously, get the girl, get a prayer life.
Get that. You just get a prayer life. God
Get a
will
prayer
tell you.
life.
He will tell you exactly who she is, exactly what to do to
No
get
doubt.
the girl you
No doubt.
want.
Need more like him.
Isn't that something? Yeah. I felt like he had the father's endorsement. So
Yes.
yeah, so it feels quick, but it's really not. And there's nothing wrong with quick when you know it's God. And
Absolutely.
so yeah, so it was like 90 days, 6 months. And then when he said, "I think we need to do it this year," I knew. I said, "Yeah, you are definitely hearing." So
That's a man with a plan. I
isn't
love
that
it.
something? Oh my gosh. Oh my Lord. So it's been good. I know there are lots of people praying for me. I know you're one of them, praying for us.
Absolutely. And just
As
be over the
grown,
moon excited for you.
yes. When I
Just
say
over the moon excited.
I really am overjoyed. I really am. I'm really overjoyed. And it's a lot of fun. This is
It
just
should be. It
yes.
should be.
I'm like, yeah, and I'm not bridezilla. I'm not one of those people that's
Yeah.
like, "That's not the right shade of blue." Like, no, trust me. I'm just like, can we have good food and some fun, and people come together, and let's have a meal, our first meal together, with family. And he's got a big family, I got a big family. So let's do that. And then we go off and go on vacation somewhere.
I
And
love it.
that's gonna be that. So I'm believing God. It's going to be easy, simple, fun, beautiful. His presence will be there. But
I
no,
agree with you and all of that. And believe God
amen.
will show up and show out
Amen.
and you too will be on display for his glory.
Amen. Woo, child on display. All right.
Yes.
That sounds like get your Spanx. Not that kind of display, but I know what you mean. The
Yes.
story. I prayed for a lady in a shoe store. Isn't this hilarious? I was in a shoe store. I ain't got no business being in there, but I was in a shoe. You know, when you're trying to edit and pack because I'm moving, like the
Mhm.
last thing to do is buy
That's
anything.
the other part. I'm just like, oh.
But you know what? Listen, I will be flying in. I got frequent flyer miles. So, but yeah, so I was in a shoe store and a lady approached me and I ended up praying for her because she is connected to me via socials and all that. So she approached me. We end up talking about this engagement that happened 2 days before my 60th birthday. And we end up praying for her and her whole situation. And I thought, okay, God, I kind of see what you're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not, sometimes things are for us, but they're also for others. And that's the thing where, you want to try to hide stuff, but it doesn't always work that way.
Ouch. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's a blessing for you. Yeah, but we kind of try to hide things. And then even with social media, and I know we're going to talk about social marketing, but the whole idea of social media being involved, your personal life. I'm a leadership consultant. I'm known as the culturalist. What does this engagement interest anyone about? And yet, any post about anything we're doing, folks are like, this is so great. Folks are all in. And I think the humanity,
Absolutely.
people are looking for
Joy.
They
They're
no,
looking for joy. We heard it all through the DNC, which I
they
know we'll talk about.
did.
People are looking for joy. Nobody
It's
wants to
time.
live 24/7 in doom, gloom, and despair. So
Oh my
when you get
God.
to celebrate and be happy for somebody else,
We'll take it.
we'll take it.
We're like, let's
Absolutely.
do it. So, because I told my director of media, I said, is this inappropriate, appropriate? I didn't know how I was feeling about, should I intersperse some of this in there between all the leadership stuff? She's like, are you kidding me? It's not just the content, it's you.
Absolutely.
It's what,
Absolutely.
yeah.
It's
It's
the
what,
power of story.
you know what? Now let me tell you, you taught me this years ago. And so this is what I said. I just said this to someone. I was talking to someone who was getting his preaching chops back, hadn't been preaching for a while, get his preaching chops back, shared his notes with me. And I said, your theology is sound. Where's your story?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, one of the smartest people I know has taught me the power of a story. So I never want to preach without a story.
Absolutely.
I never want to train without an activity.
Absolutely.
And so you somehow you gotta get a story in there. So you're right.
Absolutely.
Folks need to see the story. The
The
story.
story.
So what's been happening with you, ma'am? What's going on in your life?
Wow. I tell you, I have been in a season of, how do I describe it, but just stretching.
Oh, that
Stretching
can mean a
and
lot.
yeah, it's been a season of stretching and growing, but I believe that at the end of it, God is going to do something amazing. And what I love about God is that He always gives you a glimpse or a blueprint. And I look
Yes.
at people like you and your story and how God
Mm-hmm.
has just used you in such amazing ways to impact people, and your vulnerability and
Mm.
how you share so much of who you are with other people.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm nervous. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I move with some trepidation, but I love as well that it's making me grow up to a different level
I love it.
and own my voice.
Yes. This is what I love about what you just said. First of all, stretching is always good. Stretching in this season is an indication of your expansion in the next season. And so if there's no challenge, there's so many areas of our lives, like 7 or 8 different areas where I coach people in. And if none of those areas are being stretched, you're not really hearing well, right? Or maybe you're just about to go home. How about that? So, but if there's stretching in any area, that means there's expansion coming in the next season in that area. And the other thing I was thinking as you were speaking, the other thing that comes to mind is do not let self-protection mute your voice in an attempt to protect our, like you have a shield up over your heart, but the shield is also covering your mouth.
Mm.
So then we can't, your voice is muted, your impact is shortened. And so I'm really super happy actually for this stretching season. It's never comfortable, especially when you're being stretched by circumstance, things that
Yes,
are external. Internal stretching is what we decide. Oh, I'm going to learn something new, or I'm going to do something new. And then the Lord will allow seasons to come that demand that you're going to be more and stretch more and expand. And I mean, and that's who you are, be more, right?
yes,
Be more of who you are.
yes, yes.
And
Be
not even
more.
be different. Be more of that. The thing that you do well, be more of that. So yes, I love it. That's a really good thing. So
Yes.
I hope that I would really love to see some more of you in the marketplace, in not-for-profit sectors, even in churches, even dealing with like navigating the jungle of what is social media and how to market and step into that arena with confidence, but not perfection.
Yes. Yes.
Give yourself grace to do it. I have a brilliant director, Jasmine Bell. Y'all need to find her on Instagram. Follow her. She's amazing. Dare to Dream Wild, I think, is her handle. But she looks at some of the stuff when she first started with me and says, "Oh, so substandard," right? That's what she's, like, "Oh, it's not nearly as good as it is now." But if she hadn't been willing to start where she was able to start, she wouldn't be where she is now. Now
Exactly.
she's writing code and doing stuff that I don't even speak that language. So,
Exactly.
yeah, it started off with me directing her. Now she's directing me.
Yes.
So she went from social media coordinator to now she's social media director. And she's setting the direction.
Yes.
And I often say, if you're a director, you're a decider. So she's making the decisions of how to amplify my voice. And I think you've got so much genius for those of us that are out there trying to do it right and do it with positivity and really build people. I think you have so much genius that I'm excited to hear and see what you have to say. You do a brilliant job encouraging us to exercise.
Yes.
I don't know nobody with your stamina. I look at some of these pictures you post, the sweat is dripping. I'm like, her cardiovascular is on 10. And I'm like, let me get this little dog and go walk her around the block.
I work out with an amazing group of uh, we call it the Fit Fam.
Yeah,
Amazing group of people and amazing trainers at Downs Fitness who really do push me out of my comfort zone,
yeah.
who challenge me. Like now the challenges have been around, lifting heavier.
Ooh.
Who the heck would even think about lifting past 5, 10 pounds? But when
Oh,
I can pull
yes.
up a 20-pound weight with ease and bypass injury, it's like, what? That's
Wow.
God. So
And your future self is saying, thank you, keep me fit.
yes, because to build that muscle mass, it helps the bone structure.
It
You have
does.
to, and it really propels me forward in aging. And
Yeah,
I am just so grateful to have the ability to do it. I
yeah.
get up at 3:30 in the morning. I have my
Good God
quiet time with the
Almighty.
Lord.
Good God
Have my quiet
Almighty.
time with the Lord, and I'm out the door at 4:30 and working out at 5 a.m.
Wow. How do you develop that type of discipline? Do you just, I don't know. Or is it the accountability of community?
It is the accountability of the community, and for me, because of the it's about the push. We push each other, we encourage
Yeah,
each other. Now if I just get the eating right, but that's a whole nother
that's a
conversation.
whole
But
nother thing.
food
For
just
me,
shouldn't be so
eating is
good.
a substitute
But
for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that would be true. That would be true. Keeps me out of trouble, that's for sure. But
Yes.
but I appreciate the accountability in having that something. It gives me something to look forward to in starting my day.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
knowing that I've checked that off,
Yes.
accomplished that, and
So you
it's
get
at the
that
front.
first win,
That
that
first
first
win. Yep.
win out of the way. Like, not even out of the way. You get that first win up on the board.
Yes. Yes.
And when
For
you
sure.
do, I know when I press myself physically, I do feel like I can do other things.
Yes.
If I can do that, I can do, I feel like I can do other things, even things that are not physical.
Yes. We do hard things.
We do hard
We
things
do
every
hard things.
single day.
Yes.
If I didn't do hard things, ma'am, I wouldn't even be here.
Yeah.
There are things I have to make myself do. And so
Yeah.
I look back and I thank God for loneliness. I thank God for
Yes.
rejection. I
Yes.
thank God for what looked like abandonment. I thank
Yes.
God for so many things that I cried over, because if I didn't have those things, I would not have been forced to do hard things.
I can attest to that and
Mm-hmm.
agree that at
Mm-hmm.
death, when you
Yeah.
live through the hard stuff, and you come to really learn and comprehend and
Yeah.
process that even in the hard stuff, God is right there,
Yes.
regardless of what the circumstances say.
Yep.
It gives you the fortitude
Yes. And
to
you're
get out of bed and keep going.
yeah, I love it. All right. Well, let's talk some marketing stuff. You ready?
Yes, I am
All
ready.
right. So I know we've got you have such a variety of geniuses, and I could keep you here all day, but I want to start with the thing I really want to get to first, and these cultural shifts and how they are affecting social marketing. And first of all, that phrase social marketing, I really like it. Yeah, this idea
Yep.
of using social media, or you can define it 10 times better than I can, but I'm looking at using social media to communicate who you are and what you have to offer.
Yeah, I think having been in this industry for over years, being able to see
15,
how
over 15, right?
over 15 years, yes,
Yes, ma'am.
and being able to see how things have evolved, it's been mind blowing.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sure Mark Zuckerberg and others who are sort of like the fathers, if you will, of social
Yeah.
media,
Mm-hmm.
when they were in their garages or whatever the space was and creating these social networks, they had an idea, they had a vision, but they had no idea the takeover
Yeah, there's no
of
way they could have
yeah,
seen
yeah,
that and these smartphones
yep, great
would,
combination.
I mean, for good and for bad,
Yep,
the social media and the smartphone together. And then if you add to that this doggone global pandemic
yes,
that sent people from face to face back to the phone.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a powerful thing. And by power, I don't necessarily mean 100% good, but it's powerful.
it
It's
is, and
powerful.
as with anything, you have to manage it well, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a need for balance with
Yeah.
it. Um, but the thing that I believe what social media did is it aligns with the fact that for a number of years, marketing has shifted from being more product focused to more consumer focused, and
Yes.
where you have to know your audience, you have to know who you're talking to, and the more these tools uh, have been made available for people to be more granular in the sense of breaking audiences down into smaller niches and bites, and then being able to build subcultures and subcultures build out to the masses.
Mm-hmm.
It has really helped to make things more personal.
Now, you said a
And
whole lot in that one statement, and I'm sure that's very common for folks that are 15 years into all of this. But this idea of shifting, because I just read this, I think it was a article in Forbes, just read this about shifting from focusing on your product to focusing on your customer, knowing
yes,
who they are. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily thinking you have to change your product, but like making sure your product meets who your customer is and what they want. But massaging that customer to the place where those people are happy, those people become almost what I would call a tribe, and then they reproduce themselves.
Exactly.
So you're not going out adding one, adding one, adding one. You just create a healthy atmosphere. It sounds like me talking to church leaders.
Yes.
Yeah, you create a healthy atmosphere, and those people will create that subculture. They decide who they are.
Yes. And what it to that point, you know, in the old days, when you particularly think about, and I say old days, when you think about the era of when advertising really took off through
Yeah.
broadcast media with television,
Yes.
it was all about mass production. It was all about brand building. Was about reaching masses.
Yes.
And it, you think about Mad Men and being able to. The focus was on, I need to really push features. I need to tell
Yes.
you who I am and what I do and
Yep.
why I'm better than the competitor.
Yes.
And now being more consumer centric, the or audience centric, the focus is really around how can I serve you? How this is who I am. These are my values. This is how I can solve a problem, a pain point,
Yeah.
meet your need, and here you belong. Because people, that's part of that, of what social media does best, is give
Yes.
people voice and a place to belong.
Mm-hmm. So when people feel like they're being heard and they're being seen, I belong here. These are my people, because they get me.
Yes, yes,
And I can't help, there's such a correlation between that and what should be happening in our churches.
exactly, exactly.
And so even at a time where church attendance is decreasing and or has decreased, I won't say it is decreasing, but has decreased, and people are looking for other ways to connect. Um, if you are marketing anything from an ideology to a car, you need to create a place where people feel like you get them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would even say with the church, which is it's interesting how the virtual space
Yeah.
and with the pandemic, how it those that were unwilling to
Yes.
use social as a part of as a tool to connect with people and to evangelize,
Mm-hmm.
um, were forced to
They were.
in the pandemic, and you saw those that did it well, and you saw those that really struggled with it.
Yeah.
And the struggle was not just about the technology. The struggle was about
Mm-mm.
adapting
Yes.
to the medium, so such that you don't have 3 hour services online.
Damn. That doesn't work.
It doesn't work. You don't have, you if you have church announcements, you find a different way to package it.
Yes.
And then as well, you also have to build, find ways to build community,
Mm-hmm.
even within the online, in the online space, and be able to pull people into your services so that they
Yeah.
feel a part of the service. You don't neglect the online audience and
No.
just preach to those who are in the pews. I Here's another shameless, um,
Big
shout out
plug.
to
Yes.
New Life
WSP.
Covenant
Yes.
Southeast, who has really led the way in
They do an
how this is
amazing
done
job.
right. Yes,
They do an
yes.
amazing job.
Amazing job.
And when we're both there. When I travel, I still get up. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna get in my usual 7:30 a.m. service. And people are there, like, good morning, welcome. You feel like you're walking through the lobby, but you're just
Exactly.
online. People are
Exactly.
greeting you, you're interacting. That chat is so lit. It's
Yes.
amazing. It really
Yes.
is amazing. And then the reference, you feel seen because it says those of you online, you
Yes.
know?
Exactly.
And so it's not just
I'm watching
carving
the
a
service like I'm
window.
watching a TV show. Yeah. I
Yes.
am a part of the ministry going forth. I am
Mm-hmm.
part of the aim, we still do call in the particularly Black church. We still do call and response.
Oh,
I'm
yes,
part
we
of the
do.
call and response.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm part of the call and response. Say this, say that every
Yes.
time, you know,
Yes.
and keeping people engaged and involved where you do feel like you are a part of it.
Particularly because
Because
there's so many options when you're online. There's an
yes, and with
opportunity every
one
five
click,
seconds to be able to, yes. So if you don't grab them quick,
then what's happening?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
I know
those
the religious folks are like, oh, the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is in all of it.
He's in all of it.
He's
Oh,
in
he
all of it.
really is. He
Yeah,
really is. One of the things I've found is people that refuse to adjust their methods are being left behind.
absolutely. Absolutely.
They're just that, you know,
Yeah.
it's it's interesting because the criticism of the new is against the old. And then like that was then, now we're the new. And then when the next new comes along, you don't want to go with it because it wasn't that you value innovation, you value your idea.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
Yes.
it was no, this is best because we did it first, or this is
Yes.
best because it came from our generation. But
Yes.
we have to decide, is it idolatry or is it innovation?
Yes.
And we can get stuck. We, you
We
know,
can't get stuck.
we
We
can
can't
get
get
really
stuck.
stuck. Like the folks that were, we use hymnals, and then then it was like, well, we just project it on a screen. Oh well, that's just and then from projecting it to, or even from bulletins to phone apps to all of the being able to innovate. If you don't hold to the value, the whole value is connecting and informing people.
Absolutely.
And so if you're a leader, if you're a senior leader out there, and your value, if you release the value out to your folks and say, I value our people being connected and informed, do not try to harness how they connect and inform the people,
Yes.
because it can't be up to me to decide what's the latest and the newest. I gotta have my ear to where God is taking the whole ship. And so if someone comes to me and says, hey, we have a brand new way to connect and inform people, and that's one of the reasons why I'm constantly like pressing into the belly of leaders to try to get them to spit up a value and not a method.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely
Because if you marry the
100%.
method, you're going to be left behind. And when I come and see you
Absolutely.
next year, you're going to be stuck. But if you keep releasing the value, we want people connected and informed. We want people connected and informed.
Yes.
And now you actually trigger the genius of everybody around you. And now you've given them a problem to solve. And
Yes.
smart people don't love anything more than a problem to solve.
Problem to solve. Yes.
Oh, she want to connect and inform people. We got to figure that out. They
Yes.
love it. They love it. They love it.
I
So
heard I was on in a community meeting, online community that I'm a part of last night, and it featured a beautiful person that I would love to connect you to. Her name is Connie Lindsay.
okay.
She is a amazing philanthropist, former uh, corporate executive.
Awesome.
But I heard her use this phrase last night, to ask beautiful questions. And I
Yes.
had to grab hold of that thing. Like,
Oh,
you
I
have to learn to
love
ask
it.
beautiful questions.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And don't be afraid to ask questions that you don't have answers to.
And be curious. It's okay to be curious.
Yes, to go into the world with that's how we have to approach the Lord. Go
Yes.
into, because it's curiosity that leads to awe, and it's
Yes.
awe that leads to genius.
Yes.
And so you've got to be able to approach with curiosity. How does this work? Why does it work? Why did it not work? And you're not ignoring um the world around you, but you're engaging in the world around you. Yeah.
Yes.
My goodness. I love it. Let's talk politics a little bit.
Sure, sure.
Not partisanship, but the use of social marketing has blown me away. First of all, I don't know if the RNC did it, but the DNC gave press credentials to social media influencers.
Yes.
What's your opinion?
Well, the RNC did do it too. I'm sure the other camp will take issue with the number of influencers invited to their convention
Yeah.
versus the DNC.
Yeah.
But both did offer up application for influencers and content creators.
Yes.
Um, and the
Was this the
way,
first time that happened? Did they do that 4 years ago?
no, they did not. And
Yeah.
I think it's the recognition that first of all, um, the continued eroding trust in mainstream media
Yeah.
and being able to provide um, real information. It's just hard to decipher what's true and what's fact, and
Yeah.
people often are more prone to receive truth from people that they feel like they know and they are closer to. And so
Okay.
when you talk about how, you know, people who have influence and they're able to build this following, um, and many of the influencers that were there, some were political influencers and some were just people who had influence. They had an audience and they have a
Wow.
following and people who listen, and they were able to provide that. One of the big things that people love to do with social is to be able to provide that behind the scenes and give people a feel
Yes.
like they're on the inside.
Yeah.
If you weren't able to be there and your favorite social media creator and influencer did attend, they were able to give you an inside look.
Yeah.
Um, some of that was good and some of that was bad because in
Mm-hmm.
some cases, with that being also a PR person, you don't control the message, you don't control
You
the narrative.
don't.
So it's kind of scary. It's a big risk.
Ooh, it is a risk,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, it
But
is.
but
To
what?
say just come and you can have access and you
Yes,
can walk around
yes,
and check it out and tell your people what you think.
yeah. But what I think it shows is also a recognition of how particularly younger generations consume media. And the
Mm-hmm.
fact that if you're going to reach younger voters, you
Yeah.
have to go where they are.
Yeah, you do.
They may or may not watch CNN, they may or may not watch even the debate coming up
Mm-hmm.
next month,
Yeah.
but they will, because of how much they're on their mobile devices, they will pick up their mobile devices throughout the day, multiple times a day, and they're looking at content, and something may strike them, whether it's a meme or
Mm-hmm.
some type of you know snippet that may capture their attention. And I believe the idea is, what is the best way to be able to grab attention and get your message out there?
Yeah.
And most of all, overwhelmingly, the idea was around do, as our former first lady said, to
Yeah.
do something.
Do
um,
something.
do something, which means get out and vote. Make sure you
Yeah.
vote and make sure that you have a say in the direction of the country.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. You said a phrase that I saw a scale. Capture attention and get your message out. And I think sometimes if we are we may focus only on getting your message out and you're not really heard.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah,
saying all the right things, but you're not really heard.
yep,
Or we can focus so much on capturing attention that we're all sensationalism and we are all confirmation bias and it's more negative because negativity kind of captures attention, or it has been captured. But I think things are tipping, like you were saying. Folks are looking for joy, they're looking for some happiness here. And so, but you can be so sensational that you don't have a message. And so if you can blend both to
yes,
say, I'm going to capture your attention and I'm also going to give you what my message is, I
yeah.
think it's quite brilliant.
And I want to be able to tell you in a concise and sincere manner
Yeah.
what it is I stand for, what I believe in, and what my
Mm-hmm.
vision is.
Yeah.
Um, Rather than a whole lot of rhetoric. People, and we saw it as part of the backdrop of the DNC as well.
Yeah.
People don't want a bunch of talking points. They
They
want
don't.
real people who care about what they are dealing with day in and day out, and they
Mm-hmm.
want people who are going to bring forth real solutions.
Yeah.
And we understand that we got to roll up our sleeves and make tough decisions,
Yeah. We got
but
to do
let
the
me be
work.
part, but hear me when I say this is how this affects me,
Yes.
and not make decisions in a vacuum based on political back and forth and being close to whatever that party line is. So I,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be it's an interesting time that we're living in, because of the shifts in how people not only receive information and how people communicate, but also just the sentiment of many of our institutions that were trusted and we believed in um, are failing and
Yeah.
and not living up to the image and the bear and the standard that has been set forth.
Yeah.
And we have to rethink how we live together as a society. And
Absolutely.
we can't continue in the divisiveness because it's going to tear this country apart.
Ma'am, I
But
tell you
how
something
can
that shook me, and maybe I'm just sentimental. Maybe I was being a little bit of a Pollyanna. But I was of the mindset that a lifetime appointment of the Supreme Court gave you the freedom to vote according to your interpretation of the of our Constitution. When this thing came out with Clarence Thomas, when I tell you I was shooketh, I was like, what? Bought his mama a house too. Wait, what's happening? I was just shook. I'm like, Pam, they don't live there, right? They don't live in those robes. They have lives outside. I just like my rational side had to tell my emotional side, hey, 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 they're real people, right? But I just thought, man, what have we come to? Just what
right.
have we come to? And that's when you said some of our institutions that we thought were so solid, I feel like there's a breach, like my trust has been broken.
Yeah.
And so there's a breach. And
And
so
that feeds the rise and the prominence of our social networks and social channels because people are looking for people to believe in
yeah.
again and to be able to trust. And that's why,
Yes.
with that, those platforms, when I talk about platforms, I'm talking about these content creators on utilizing social platforms to be able to build this credibility.
Yeah.
It's so important. Now, we recognize as well, nobody's perfect. None of us
No.
get it right 100% of the time.
No.
But even if you're
You
honest
can't be
and
real and
right,
perfect at the same time.
right, right.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're honest about, hey, I made a mistake. I
Yeah.
screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this is what I learned from it, and this is how I've corrected it. People are I think seek to offer grace.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. I think
I think,
what
well, it just depends on what people have personal agendas.
right,
And
right,
if I've been waiting for an opportunity to destroy someone,
right.
and then they make a public mistake and they apologize, I I can't destroy them if they apologize.
Hmm.
So I have to reject the apology. I have to do
Yeah.
all those kinds of things
But that's why Paul said, take heed where you stand, lest you fall.
lest you fall, because then you'll end up because
Hmm.
this idea of give people the grace that you think you might need.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a conversation with someone the other day, and I said to them, as they were, going on about this other person,
Yeah.
I said, what if, and just bear with me as I say this, what if God thought of you that way and treated you that way?
Ooh, yes.
And she paused for a moment and she tried to walk back what she said, but then she was like, wait a minute. I had to really sit with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if people really took time to sit more with this, what you give, like I love the term from the movie, the hate you give. If
Yes.
you were if you were to receive the hate you give to some from God to somebody else,
My
what
God.
you wouldn't it wouldn't sit well.
It would not sit well. It wouldn't. So I think one of the things we as Christians have to do, find a way to be engaged, whatever nation you live in, be fully engaged, but don't surrender your kingdom citizenship or your kingdom
Absolutely.
values.
Absolutely.
Don't
Absolutely.
surrender that. And I've seen people step all the way away, all the way away.
Yeah. 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 And
It's like love. Oh no, I'm not. No.
yeah.
Pray for those that no. No.
Yeah.
But in every other arena, they're okay. But it seems like in this, it's like they have a chokehold on their faith, a chokehold on their character, where I can operate in Christian character in other areas, but when it comes to the political forum, I cannot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I to your point, I have found myself testing in that myself where
Ah,
I have had to pray, like, God help me to love beyond a political
yes,
party, because I can't allow, to your point about being a kingdom citizen, as a kingdom
yes,
citizen, I can't allow the idolatry of these political parties to influence how I am to treat other people and to reflect
yes,
Christ to them.
absolutely. Because the greatest leaders are for everyone,
Hmm.
you know?
Hmm.
And I'm not saying they're wishy-washy, but you hold us the greatest leaders. The Bible says when the righteous prosper, the city rejoices. And it's because when people rule righteously, it's good for everyone, not just for me, not just
Yes,
for my group, you know?
yes,
And so I think this idea of being a person of faith where God is your provider, God prospers you, God protects you. And so you can actually, you should be able to operate in any nation
exactly.
as a kingdom citizen because I step in thinking, now what will be best for human flourishing here?
Yes, yes, for sure.
Since I'm already taken
100%.
care of,
Yes,
I'm
yes,
already, you know what I mean?
yes. It's how can I serve, my heart is how can I serve in my heart, the heart of God, and serve humanity?
Yes. Yeah. So it's interesting. And what I've never seen a political campaign utilize social media. It's such a huge flex as this Harris Walls campaign.
It's
I
brilliant.
was like,
It was brilliant
what?
from the
Who is
start.
running this?
Brilliant from the start when the shift, first of all, the shift itself was mind blowing. I mean,
Ma'am.
the shift itself was mind blowing, but when it happened, it ignited such energy.
And
I
would you have even
remember.
expected? Remember when and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you,
Okay.
but remember when President Biden just wasn't giving the energy, right?
Hmm.
And so the conversations, the whispering about will he step aside, will he step aside? The I the the fear, I don't want to say the idea, the fear. I had a little anxiety of they better not try to pass her over. Like that was the big sister in me, like they better not, right? You know, because I've been there. Trust me, I've been there, right? To say, oh well, no, not you. Even though you're next in
Hmm.
line, we'll reach
Right,
behind you.
right.
But so I was happy that they didn't step around her. But I thought I did not expect the level. It's like it went from 20 to 200.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't even understand it. Like what would the history books say? Like what was it that was just like bam, the Beyonce song, bam, the social media post, bam. It was amazing.
Well, that's just to that end. That's why digital marketing and social is so pivotal in our current culture, because of
Yeah.
how quickly you can move. Just think about
Yes.
this, even 25, 30 years ago, before we had the technology and the means to do it, the amount it would be like trying to move a big, huge ocean liner and
Yes.
steer it and course correct. Whereas with this, you just turn the speedboat around.
And there it is.
Yeah,
Let's go.
just flip it.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I really feel like we already are in the midst of history. It's not
Yes.
history in the making. Like this is it, man. We're
Yes.
watching it. And when I was seeing some of those posts, I kept thinking of you and I thought, I wonder what Beverly would say about the use of this about the use of social media. I haven't seen any. I don't watch a lot of television. I'll stream some movies here and there, and there's certain shows I'll watch. But so I haven't seen any television ads. But from what I've seen on social media, the flex is it's unstoppable.
I will tell you, I watch television to a degree, but rightly so, the marketing investment has not, I've not seen television ads. We probably won't see television ads to the home stretch of the
Okay.
campaign
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because they are not, neither campaign in that regard is catering to an older audience.
There it
They
is.
are going straight for the jugular
Yep.
to reach young voters
Yeah.
because they are the ones that if they come out and show their force,
Yep.
they will change the game.
They're gonna flip
Now,
the
the big
switch.
piece of this as well has to do with the Electoral College. And if the
Yeah.
Electoral College will align with the popular vote.
With the popular vote. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep. You
yeah,
know, I'm not a historian. I'm not a, you know how people always give how they're not qualified for you to hear them, and then they talk about stuff they shouldn't be talking about. I'm about to do that. How people say I'm not a chef, but I would do, listen, I'm not an expert in this, but I really think that the electoral college is outdated.
there's definitely been a lot of rumblings around that
Mhm.
in making sure that the Electoral College um, is in alignment and listening to the popular vote. They
Yeah,
cannot. There will be on no matter there's going to be controversy regardless of the outcome of this election.
absolutely.
But we know that people are closely watching every
Yes.
aspect of this system
Yeah, they are.
from the mail-in vote to the in-person vote to um,
Absentee,
early voting,
early.
absentee,
Yeah,
all of it,
all of it.
all of it, all of it's being
All of it.
closely watched, and all systems have to be um, unbiased
Hmm.
and legitimate,
And really, the whole
so
world
that
is
there's
watching.
the whole world is watching. The whole
And that's
world is
one of the
watching.
things about, I think that for me, when I engage in social marketing, I have to think globally
Absolutely, absolutely.
because so a couple of years ago when I launched the book Get Ready to Fly, I wanted to launch it big. I wanted to launch it with book clubs. I literally said to my team, let's see if we can launch it with book clubs coast to coast. And they said, what coast? Like they weren't even thinking from New York to LA. They're like, ma'am, you're launching
Right,
online. It's a global audience.
right.
And sure enough, we have book clubs on 5 different continents.
Yeah,
And so, you want to say, how do these people hear about you? Ma'am, your platform is global.
yeah,
so
yeah.
so even as you're reaching people, you have to reach beyond you have to expand beyond your national culture. And that's why I feel like the whole world is watching to see what will happen in the USA this year. It's going to be
Absolutely,
interesting. I'd love to
absolutely.
have you come back afterwards, and we'll talk about how social media may have leveraged some things. Um, how social media may have had an impact, but I agree with you. I think that because people don't know necessarily these newscasters or the writers or the owners of these networks, but they do know or they feel like they know these social
Hmm.
media content creators. And so they're listening to them.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we can't say what they say doesn't matter. They're listening to them.
yeah.
And I
And
think it's really courageous of some of these folks to put themselves out there,
yeah,
regardless of
absolutely,
what side of the aisle you're on. uh,
absolutely.
yeah, if you're really serious about policy,
Yep.
um, then I think it's really quite courageous of them. Hmm.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. And when I just wanted to real quickly add the fact that um, the beauty of it is around the diversification of voices and the fact that the ability to have the discourse.
Yeah.
We are living in a time where um, there is a need for us to be able to civilly have conversations
Yes.
around things that matter to all of us.
Hmm.
And we may
Hmm.
not agree on the roadmap that ultimately leads us to get to
Yeah.
the place called there, but we
Hmm.
at least need to be able to be open to the conversation and the diversification of voices
Yeah.
on the things that matter. And I think that's why social has played such a prominent role,
Yeah.
not just in our political system. And I also want to say that with that, what I think people are able to snuff out really quickly is people who disingenuously use the medium.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can sniff
Yeah.
that out. And so it's
And
not just
that's the
about
whole thing of
pushing
you're all
your,
sensationalism,
yep,
but it's no substance
yep,
or no real message.
yeah,
All sensational. I think
yeah,
people are. They're a lot smarter than sometimes we give them credit for, or
for sure,
others give them credit for.
for
People are
sure.
able to sniff it out. And this idea of bringing back civil, honorable discussion, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
And this idea of being able to have like I lost friends over American politics.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
literally people that I'd known for decades, 20, 30
I
years.
believe it. I experienced it too. Yes.
I'm like, what the heck? Because it's now it's like their identity demands that they separate from me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, but your identity should be in Jesus, and we're sisters in Christ, or we're,
Right.
no.
Yeah.
It is, there's been such damage. And so I'm really hoping that we'll enter into a time of healing. And I love being able to, like, I have to limit my time because it's so interesting for me to watch. So I have to limit my time so I can get other things done. But I love it when I can get on something like TikTok and I see people having a real conversation, you know, just having a real debating the issues in an honorable way and having a real conversation.
Yeah.
And
For
I
sure.
hope that, you're able to, if you're listening to this, you're able to come to the table, have conversations with people, not just to persuade, but to understand what's important to them. And I
And
think
that's key. That's
yes,
key. Because we
not just to
often
say, oh,
communicate with
you're
the objective
stupid,
to
you're
persuade.
whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, but to say you're listening to them and say, it sounds like this is really super important to you.
Yes.
What do you think is the best way for us to achieve this? Because it's important to me as well.
Yes.
And don't take on this thing as an identity when we carry the image of God. So, ma'am,
There's so much to unpack with that. Yes.
there is. You got a lot of work to do.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you got a lot of work to do. I'll be praying for you, helping people to capture the attention, but give your real message. Avoid sensationalism, but don't ignore that people are out there and they want to be seen and heard.
Absolutely.
Social marketing. I had so many other things. I could talk to you forever, but I love you. Thank you for this conversation. And let's get together soon and have some good sushi.
Oh, absolutely. We have to before you
I
leave.
know.
Oh
Leave the Midwest.
my God,
I'm out of here, y'all. I'll be back. I'm already scheduled to be back 3 times. So I'll be back for, short little day trips to come and do some work with some clients in this area. But yeah.
Oh, one other question.
Yes.
What about mom? Is she going too?
Everybody's
She's a rock.
asking
She's a
that.
star.
I know she's a rock star. People, listen, y'all. People love my mother. There's people that are on my team. Like I came home the other day from an appointment, and my assistant was here, and I thought she would be. I saw her car, so I come downstairs to the office thinking she's down here. No, she's upstairs with my mom. They're making plum jelly. My plum tree is a season of abundance. My plum tree gave us like a double harvest.
Look
The
at
branches
God.
were on the ground. I've
Ooh.
never seen anything like it. I took pictures and sent it to my pastor. I said, I've never seen anything like it.
You're
It's
going to
great.
preach that, I know.
I really
God
need
is
to
going to
preach
give you a
like
word
what
on that.
happened to this year. We didn't do anything differently, but I think that in the fullness of time, that bad boy was like, before you go. So like we harvested, then we were calling people to say, please come and harvest. Please come. So if you want some plums, just drive over. You know where I live. Just drive over, get your bucket, and just take them home. They're ripe. They're delicious. If you
Oh
don't eat
my
the
gosh.
deers will. So, but no, she's going to be moving as well.
Ah,
I know. I
wow.
know. Y'all going to have to make your own biscuits. My mother's.
I've envisioned that would be the case. Yes,
Yeah, she's moving. So we've lived together for 10 years. It's been a good 10 years, me and my mom. And so she's gonna do her thing, I'll do my thing, but she'll come and visit and I'll come and
ah,
visit. And it'll be
awesome.
wonderful. But she's gonna let me go off and be a newlywed, and that'll be
Oh, well, I know she will build a new life and get busy where she's going.
Oh
No
yes,
doubt.
she really will. Yeah, she's so full of life. I just love it. She's so full of life. She's got plenty more life in her.
That's right.
Longevity is in her family. And it's interesting because she's not really on, she says that she's not on social media, but then she'll watch YouTube shorts.
Hmm.
And she's 85. And so she's learning now that you can find different things, recipes, and you know what I
Yes,
mean? It's
yes.
really
My
interesting.
parents are doing it too.
Yes,
My mom is on Instagram, which is hilarious.
ma'am. If my mother got on Instagram, I don't know what I would do. But yeah, like it's just this whole idea of social marketing. No one's thinking they're marketing to an 85-year-old Midwestern widow, but
Hmm.
yet here she is saying, "Oh, I saw this thing that I could, do this with the plum jelly," or "Oh, I saw this thing." And or even understanding algorithms like, why did
Yes.
this pop up? Oh, well, this popped up because you searched for
Yep.
this. It makes assumptions about what you're interested in. And so
Those
it's just,
cookies.
yeah, isn't it?
Those
This
cookies.
thing is, yeah, this thing is amazing. I
And
don't
we
know if
didn't even
I'll
get to
ever,
talk about search engine optimizations, which is a whole
ma'am.
nother
I
conversation. We didn't get
know.
to talk about AI and marketing and how AI is going to
Ma'am.
change the game and
Yes.
helping to predict consumer predict behavior and how you're able to tailor your message on a dime based on what AI is able to help you do. It just cuts so much time.
What? So it cuts the research time.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So we'll just have to do a bonus or something and we'll talk about how saving your marketing time with AI.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we'll probably need to talk about the launch of your podcast. See what I did there?
I see it. I see it.
Beverly, I love you so much.
I love you
Thanks
and
for
so
being my guest
appreciate you.
today.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to be able to talk to you and to just learn from you. You are still, you will always be my mentor.
Yes.
You are the blueprint, and I just praise God for you.
Thank you so much. Catch me on social media at PR The Builder. Visit me online at pamross.com. Catch you next time.